Suprabhat, aap kaise hai? For you who aren't fluent in Hindi, that means good morning and how are you? First, on a personal note, I must say this room brings back old memories. Me and my wife, we had just been engaged, and I think we had breakfast more or less where Micael Hagman is sitting now, a long time ago. A previous friend, I might add, said that this was probably when this room was more or less inaugurated. She was wrong about that, but anyway, it was a long time ago. Time flies. I will speak about smart cities, and we've heard a lot by previous speakers as well. These are just a few pictures on what we are talking about. Anna Liberg mentioned the minister, our Swedish minister, here in Delhi a month ago plus. It's about, of course, political collaboration, partnerships between countries, companies, academia. It's about urban transport, that we will hear more about from both our different kinds of vehicle types, public transport, etc. But it's also about people, business, and the next generation. And for you, those of you who know my family, you can actually see my daughter in that picture. So, let's see. So, why smart cities in India? You heard the Honorable Minister, you've heard Anna and the previous speaker mention some of it, but I will, anyway, repetition is good, so I will come back to it again. India is urbanized to 32% roughly, and we know from international studies that around 30–35% then it actually takes off. So there is a window of opportunity now for the Indian government to take action to try to not combat, but to make as good choices as possible to actually cope with the influx of 200 million people in the coming 20 years. It's 1 million people a month that moves into the Indian cities, demanding urban transport, fresh drinking water, sewage, etc., etc., and of course agriculture products as well. So there will be a lot of residues to generate biogas, for example, to run buses or electricity. The Indian government have launched a number of schemes, smart cities being one of them, and it's, as I mentioned, the reason why is, of course, increased urbanization, 100 smart cities around the country, 20 this year is the idea, and another 40 next year, and another 40 the following year. There's quite a lot of money in the kitty allocated by this government. It's about 7 billion euro, which is, of course, not enough to facilitate this transition. So there will be a huge need for public-private partnerships, and wherefore I think this is a very good opportunity that Indian companies are here to interact with the Swedish ones. So I hope there will be some good mutual agreements after this as well to start building these new smart cities. And when we talk about smart cities, we're not talking about completely new cities. There will be a few of those as well, but there are city districts, there are parts of the cities that will be rebuilt. In December, a paper came out, and we are now waiting for some guidelines to come from the Indian government on what and how the process will be. But it's decided that it will be a competition among the cities, and they need to apply for becoming a smart city. And the Bloomberg philanthropy is going to be part of the evaluation process that was agreed by Mr. Bloomberg himself and Modi, I think, a few months ago. But it will be looking at how cities are, for example, working with Swachh Bharat, with Make in India, e-governance, etc. So these are conditions that will be, the cities will be evaluated upon. Some of you might have seen lists already with a number of cities. They mentioned that it's historical cities, that they are capitals, etc., etc. But we'll see. As I said, it's a up to the different states to identify the cities and submit the proposal. The concept is, or the smart cities is owned by the Ministry of Urban Development. But it is, I would say, the ambassador and the minister have gone, so I can say I think that this is one of Modi's pet projects. With this one and Make in India is probably one of the two big ones. We run a little bit short of time, so I'll also try to save a few things. 4 pillars, and these are not rocket science, of course. You would probably have identified them yourselves when we talk about smart and sustainable cities. It's, as previous speakers said, it's about quality of life. It's about the institutional, and in the documents, that concept paper that was presented in December, they go down in nitty-gritty about this. You can go into it and read about different indicators, for example, for this. But it's about e-governance. It's about the number of schools with a certain distance. It's about universities. It's about the length to a sports facility. So they have identified already indicators to actually narrow it down and make it more tangible. Urban mobility, etc., of course. So this is, as I said, it's about quality of life. It's no rocket science about it. So for the Indian audience, I think the Swedes might have seen this picture like a zillion times already. But anyway, a short introduction to what is Symbiote, what's it all about. And once again, as the previous speaker said, symbiosis, it's about the living together. It's about harmony between different organisms. So it's about municipal cities and urban areas. It's about merging different technologies to cooperate with each other. It's man and nature, of course. But it's also what we in Sweden then would used to call and say that it's a concept developed over 40, 50 years in Sweden, in the municipalities and in the different consultancies, which I think we have a number of extremely well-placed players on the Swedish side in this audience to inform you more about that. But it's a gained experience, knowledge shared through the collaboration between academia, municipalities, and business to develop more sustainable and efficient solution and utilizing the taxpayers' money as efficient as possible. It's about connecting the different silos, reduce the number of silos actually, connecting them and utilize the synergies between the different subsectors. Get more for less. That's what it's all about. And for those of you who will go to Hammarby Sjöstad, that's one. There are similar places in a number of cities around Sweden that you can also experience, both on the west coast and south. So, how will Sweden work? Anna mentioned it a little briefly. And for those of you who follow the Indian smart city work, you know that the number of countries have said that we will adopt XYZ city, we will do that, we will do that. Sweden is not, I would say, not going to do that. As my ambassador said last week at the conference that Anna referred to, Sweden is interested in collaborating with every city, all cities in India, where we can find collaboration. But what we, Team Sweden, as Anna pointed out, want to do is to showcase our good examples. And we'll probably hear more about the good examples here on the stage, but I've highlighted a few. It's about getting waste from energy, by the NVAC, for example. The example is Gujarat. It's about utilizing waste as a vehicle fuel from both sugarcane and sewage. And Anders Grundströmmel will talk about that from Scania. Electrified transport, but Volvo, getting it nice and less noisy. You can, of course, utilize the biogas generated to make it, turn it into electricity instead and run these buses. Of course, smart cities need smart living. We have excellent companies like IKEA, who will probably furnish a lot of these houses, and also Blue Air, who will get a good indoor climate. A smart city should be safe for everyone. And we have excellent Swedish companies, as you're well aware of, both Volvo cars and Volvo trucks, of course, and Kale, the company that we'll hear more about in a few minutes as well, that is in the parking area. Maybe not the what you think of at first, but it's a very important piece of the puzzle when you're trying to get efficient traffic flows. So we want to highlight, we want more examples when it comes to smart solutions. We want to present Swedish solutions all around India. Highlight that is what Team Sweden will bring into this picture. And we of course want all of you here, consultancies, energy agency, and other players to be part of this Team Sweden work. As Anna then said, I ran out of pictures, so I actually included myself. This is from last week, and where we have Clean Motion and Kale and a number of the companies that I've already mentioned participating. The ambassador was there. We were partner country to the Smart City Conference in Delhi, and we were very, very positive of the outcome of that conference. And we want to do more similar things. But what we need, of course, is Swedish players. We want Swedish companies to come to India to participate in this area. So, I started on a personal note, and I would actually like to take the opportunity to end on one as well, if I may, just 30 seconds. The distinguished moderator used to be my superior for a number of years, an excellent person, and a person that I really love and enjoy working with. He has a long and impressive CV. It would take a long time to give it to you all. But I can now actually give you this one, Mats. Mats was, I don't know how, but anyway, he became Global Excellence Award 2014 in renewable energy. Maybe Ludwig should have it instead. But to Mats Stendinger. So it was given to him last year in India. So I've had it in my room for some time. So now you can include it in your CV, Mats. So, shukriya.